It's endangered. I'm not going to take it without a really good reason. Ugh, I feel strange just looking at them. A printed picture of the strange smoky lights. It appears to have been taken somewhere in Conwell Woods. It's a photocopy of a book page with information about the red scythe flower. Here's an interesting segment. Another interesting trait of the red scythe is the smell, which is familiar to that of a pepper. The pollen of the plant has also been known to cause hallucinations in concentrated amounts. Native American tribes harvested and smoked the plant for that reason, but the flower never caught on as a modern recreational drug due to the difficulty of growing it. Eileen gave me this. Might contain useful information if I come across a specimen. Yep, it's definitely the right flower. I don't see how those things work together. It's endangered. I'm not going to take it without a really good reason. Hello, Father.
Greetings, my child. I'm glad you decided to come here.
Yeah, but just so you know, I'm not here to join your church or anything.
Oh, I would never assume that.
Good. So, with that out of the way, I have some questions.
Anything you need. I'm Isaac Price.
Kathy Rain, but I'm guessing you figured that out already.
I did. Rumors spread quickly around here. So how can I be of service?
Do you know anything about what happened to my grandfather in '81?
It was the work of the devil, I'll say that much. Joseph was a kind man. He did not deserve such a fate. You heard my speech at the funeral, Kathy. I meant every word. He was a great man who did much good for this community.
Did you know him personally?
In a way. He and my father did charity work together. Joseph was around a lot when I was young. They collaborated on a few different projects for the homeless and for the troubled youth, among other things.
So my grandfather was a member of the church?
I wouldn't say that, no. He was a friend of the church, but he wasn't a religious man. He believed only in philanthropy. That being said, Joseph was the person who convinced me to become a priest.
Really?
Oh yes, I was a teenager back then, full of rebellion, every fiber of my being wanting to distance myself from my father. Joseph made me realize my sinful pride and showed me how I should follow my heart regardless of what others might think. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Do you know anyone who goes by the nickname Cocky?
I have no idea. Sorry.
What's your opinion on Charles Wade?
No opinion. He used to be a prominent figure around here, but he doesn't appear much in town these days.
Actually, he's in the community clinic right now, getting medical treatment.
Oh, I wonder if it's serious. Perhaps I should go talk to him. Even men like Charles Wade need a priest when they're nearing the end of the line.
Does the name Lily Myers mean anything to you?
It does. I was a substitute teacher in her high school for some time before I was ordained.
Really? Did you know her personally?
We weren't close. I only knew her as much as a teacher would know any student.
All right, so how did she seem toward the end?
For one, she started skipping school a lot, and when she did show up, she was absent-minded and moody. She always looked depressed and hunched down like she had a whole world on her shoulders.
Any idea of what caused this change?
Not a clue. All I know is that when she returned from that last summer break, she was a whole different person.
Do you know anything about Lily Myers' art?
I saw a few pieces. Gorgeous work. Vibrant, surreal landscapes.
When was this?
Must have been mid-70s. The high school had open days with an art exhibition.
So, this was some time before she changed, right? You didn't see any of her later work?
No. By then, she started skipping art class completely from what I heard.
Maybe she was afraid of what she might draw. I hear it was pretty twisted.
Could be, but alas, I suppose we'll never know what was truly haunting her.
I'm doing my best to find out. I don't believe the story to be as clear-cut as everyone makes it out to be.
An unusual theory. How so?
People have taken a particular interest in her art. I think there's more to it.
I wouldn't read too much into it, my child. It happens to all dead artists with any talent to speak of.
This may sound strange, but have you heard of or seen a strange man dressed in red?
Only our Lord and Savior Jesus. Surely his rags were drenched in blood as he lay upon the cross.
That's not what I meant. I mean someone here in Conwell Springs.
Are you joking? I haven't seen a person like that, no.
Care to tell me the history of the church?
I'd be happy to. The story is a fascinating one. This church was founded by my father, William T. Price, in the 70s. Back then, he made his living as a traveling salesman and was driving through this area as he'd done so many times before. However, this day was different. My father held dark thoughts in his mind. He was angry, thinking of evil deeds, even considering swerving off the road into a rock and ending it all. Then suddenly, divine intervention. 3 bright lights appeared. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the sign of God. This epiphany was the moment my father had been waiting for. He sold all of his belongings and took me and my brother to live with him here in Conwell Springs. Soon thereafter, he built this church and started gathering followers. They began to refer to him as Father Bill.
I take it that window up there resembles what he saw when he had this epiphany?
Indeed. The stained glass window depicts the Holy Trinity as witnessed by my father.
Do you know exactly when or where this event took place?
Why do you ask?
Oh, just curious. It's a captivating story.
Well, it was in the spring of 1971, but my father never told anyone where.
Okay, so what happened then?
People flocked to Father Bill. He started teaching, writing scripture. The church flourished and continued to grow all the way up until his sudden death in 1983. That's when I stepped in to take leadership of the church.
I take it that the church started declining after the death of Father Bill?
Yes, naturally so. With such a magnetic personality, he was irreplaceable. But I assure you the church is still very much thriving.
Looks kinda empty to me.
It's not really our peak hours.
What's up with you handing out pamphlets at funerals then? Trying to reel people in at a weak moment?
I'm going to assume you meant no disrespect, child. I'm simply providing divine guidance when it's needed the most.
Do you recognize the men in this picture, Isaac?
Only your grandfather, and that's just because I was given a similar picture for the service the other day.
I don't need to show him that. I don't need to show him that. I sincerely doubt it will come to that. I don't need to show him that. Do you know what this key opens?
I'm afraid not, my child.
I don't need to show him that. I could, but I think I have more to gain from a subtle strategy. I'll keep it to myself for now, until I know more about this church. Father, do you know anything about this flower?
No, my child. Nothing at all.
That's all I need for now, Father.
May the Lord shine his light on you.
It's an altar. You know, the place where they put the sacrificed goats, kids, and other crap. Locked. Locked. Impressive window. There's no doubt about it. Those are the smoky lights. A striking resemblance, to say the least. I really shouldn't. They might burn. It's that homeless guy who helped me distract Lenny. We meet again, Mr. Homeless Guy.
Homeless? That's the worst thing I ever heard of, and totally untrue.
So, what's up with the trash can? Digging for treasure?
Well, I'm just going through a rough patch. By the way, you owe me $10.
Nah, you agreed to 7.
You're busting my balls here.
Better get those balls checked out in this clinic then.
So cold. Like a stake through the heart.
What do they call you anyway?
Goober. Everyone calls me Goober.
All right, I'm Kathy.
Pleasure to meet you.
I need to ask you a few questions.
Sounds serious. Ask away.
I don't need to ask him about that. Do you know who Charles Wade is?
Sure, he's been holed up in this clinic for the last couple of weeks.
You saw Charles Wade go in there?
Well, yeah, I just told you, man.
How did he look?
Okay, I guess. Still walking, at least.
What's your opinion on the Church of the Holy Trinity?
I'd say they're good people. Isaac, the priest, is, anyway. His dad, Father Bill, on the other hand, though, he and the people he had around him were into some weird shit.
What kind of weird shit?
I don't know, they were like a cult or something, with Billy Praise himself at the top. Really shifty bunch of folks. Isaac turned it all around when his dad kicked the bucket, made it a proper church.
Interesting. Do you know anyone else who was involved in the old church?
Not really. I tried to stay as far away from those people as possible. Ask Isaac about it. He's a friendly guy.
All right, I might do that. What do you know about Lily Meyer's art?
Nothing but hearsay. People say it was pretty deranged.
Do you know who Lily Myers was?
Yup, my dad was the one who found her floating in the lake.
Really? What can you tell me about her?
Ah, geez, not a lot. I mean, teenage girls, man, they're like their own species. Impossible to figure out. Not to mention how that entire family ain't, like, people-friendly.
Now that's an understatement. Nearly started brawling with Sue the first time I met her.
She could sure deal out a mean whooping, that lady.
Do you recognize the nickname Cocky?
Why, I used to call myself that back in Nam. Oh, how I miss that marvelous youthful ego of mine.
Why do I even bother? Do you know what happened to Joseph Rain in '81?
I most certainly do.
What? Tell me.
Are you sure you want to know? Not everyone can handle the truth.
Oh, just spit it out.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Abducted by aliens.
I should have known better.
Oh, I saw it, man. A big, huge light. I was a bit drunk at the time, but I had my reasons. My wife had just left me, taking the dog, not to mention I was being conscripted for the war. But I'm telling you, those goddamn aliens took him and they experimented on him. And that's why he was so messed up when they put him back.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop you there.
Open your mind, man.
Okay, that's enough serious questions for now.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'm off.
Bye.
Excuse me, nurse? Hey, nurse!
Yeah?
Try not to strain yourself.
Whatever. What do you want?
I'm here to see Charles Wade.
Never heard of him. Anything else?
Bullshit. I know he's here. Listen, it's okay. I'm a friend of the family.
No, you're not, and I said he's not here. Don't make me call security.
What a bitch. I need to get rid of her somehow. Hey, doofus.
Oh, hi.
So, what's your story anyway?
My story?
Yeah, don't all bums have a story?
For your information, this is all just a dry streak in my showbiz career.
Is that so? I don't recognize you at all.
I used to have more hair.
That I actually believe.
Come on, man. Frankie Gold is my stage name. Surely you must have heard of me.
Not really, no.
Oh, come on. I have starred in dozens of Hollywood movies. The Silencer of the Lambert, Jacob's Bladder, The Usual Surprises, Natural Bald Killers.
Not ringing any bells.
Kids these days, no appreciation for quality cinema. Breaks my heart.
So, tell me about this acting career of yours.
What about it?
Give me the rundown on The Usual Surprises.
A lighthearted comedy taking place during the surprise birthday party of 34-year-old Sid McBacon. The story is told from 8 different perspectives to keep the audience guessing who the protagonist actually is. The movie ends with the biggest surprise of them all. Sid suddenly dies of an epileptic seizure. I guess it's more of a dark comedy.
Tell me about The Silence of Lambert.
Lawrence Lambert, a real estate agent, suddenly turns mute overnight. For weeks, he tries to communicate with customers using a self-invented sign language, only to realize that true love needs no communication at all. He marries his housekeeper, who only knows 2 words in English, yes and clean. In the end, Lawrence dies of a heart attack in the arms of his lovely wife, Consuelo Lambert Vasquez. Based on a true story.
Natural Bald Killers?
It's a dystopian vision of the future where people are valued by the quality of their hair. The protagonist, Eddie Zephyr, turns bald in high school. One day, he has simply had enough of all the teasing and the bullying, and he completely snaps and heads out on a scalping spree in search of the perfect head of hair. Eddie makes his way to Mexico for an illegal hair transplant. However, he has an adverse reaction to the anesthesia and he dies on the operating table.
Why do you always die at the end of your movies?
Typecasting,
Oh, never mind.
not the cultured type. I understand.
So, how good an actor are you?
The best, the very best.
You know, that nurse in there, she said she loved you in all those movies, and that she always wished you'd give her a live performance.
I knew it. She always gave me these strange looks. I thought it was contempt, but her face must just be cramping up from shyness.
Yeah, that's definitely it. She'd love to see you act, I'm sure.
I'm gonna have to oblige. Which movie do you think she'd like the best?
How about The Usual Surprises?
Business as usual. I can't believe you guys did all this for me. You know, what's this smell? Bacon? Oh, Bobby, my head hurts. Ah!
Nurse, he's seizing!
Oh, shit!
Man, I feel like a total jackass. I'll have to make it up to the poor guy later. Nah, I don't see any reason to break this computer.
It's all right, Claude.
Understood, sir.
So, you managed to find me.
I did.
Well, let's get this over with then. How do you want your pictures? Shall I get some tubes to fill my face with? Will that suffice for your front page?
I'm no journalist. Well, not yet anyway.
Ah, she's but a cub. So, you're hoping for your big break. Surely this must be worth an internship at one of the big papers. Do you want me to call Thompson at the Times and get it over with? I still play golf with him every once in a while.
That's not what this is about. It's personal.
Sounds serious. Perhaps I should ask Claude to produce his gun.
You know, Charles, the person most likely to be harmed by a gun tends to be its owner.
Very true. That's something that Japs who captured me learned the hard way.
Did my grandfather bail you out then too, or was that one of the few times where he didn't save your sorry ass?
Hold on there. Explain yourself.
You're willing to listen to something other than your own voice? I'm stunned. I'm Kathy Rain. Joseph was my grandfather.
Now I remember. You were at the funeral.
I was.
You were late.
I needed my morning smoke. Besides, it's not like Grandpa was going anywhere.
Oh, just look at her, Claude. She's absolutely fearless. That's Joseph's blood running through her veins.
She certainly has a smart mouth, sir.
I must say, you have me intrigued, Kathy. What can this old man help you with?
Do you recognize the call sign Cocky?
Would be strange if I didn't, since I was the one who coined it. It belongs to a fellow named Jimmy Cochran. He was a coward, really. The nickname is somewhat of a bad joke.
Perfect. Thanks. Do you know anything about what happened to my grandfather in '81?
I wish I did, Kathy. You must know I did everything in my power to help. How do you think Mary Elizabeth could afford all that expensive treatment? MRIs, neurologists, say what you will about Joseph. But he was never rich.
Strange. Grandma never mentioned that to me.
She's just too proud. At first she refused. She was convinced that I had an agenda, that there were strings attached.
And were there?
Don't be silly. Despite all that had happened, I still loved Joseph dearly. I wanted to help. People from places like this have a deeply rooted mistrust in the rich, passed on for generations. In her eyes, I had become one of them.
So that's all you know about the whole affair?
Are you implying that there's more to know? I left the diagnosis to the professionals. Mrs. Rain accepted the health care, but asked me to stay out of everything else. So I did.
I see. What can you tell me about your friendship with Grandpa?
Joseph was the best friend I ever had. We grew up together, married our high school sweethearts together, went to war together. I can't even begin to count the number of times he's saved my life. I repaid the favor once or twice, but he came up ahead, no doubt.
So, when did you two lose touch? I heard that something happened between you and him. What was it?
The truth is, Brian Rain happened. Sharon Evans happened.
My parents?
Yes. They ruined everything with their vile, destructive behavior. I couldn't have that around my daughter or my newborn grandson. Joseph was naive. He believed that anyone could be helped, that anyone could be reasoned with, given a chance. He was just too good, bless him. He should have been harder on Brian, more strict.
I wouldn't mind teaching my old man some manners myself, wherever he is.
Yes, of course. You must understand this better than anyone. People like your father simply cannot grasp how far their bad influence spreads. So our family started drifting apart. Eventually, my company grew much too large for this little town, and we moved on. Not long after that, your grandfather ended up in that wheelchair. That marked the end of our friendship, for obvious reasons.
Tell me about Jimmy Cochran. Is he still alive?
In a literal sense, he's been held in a mental institution for years.
Let me guess, since 81?
Either 82 or 83. I'm fairly certain it was early 83.
Do you remember the name of the institution?
Something starting with an E. Emerson, Everton, or similar.
Ingstrom? Ingstrom Psychiatric Hospital?
Yes, that's the one. You know the place, Kathy.
I do. My mother is in there. Sharon Evans? I had her committed about a year ago.
I see. It must have taken a lot of courage to do that, Kathy. Mothers have a lot of power over us, more than most of us care to admit.
I guess so. Do you know why Jimmy ended up in there?
Some obsessive-compulsive syndrome. He became fixated with circles and started hurting himself, trying to scratch the circles out of his head.
Creepy. I wonder what set him off. I think I'll check the place out tomorrow. Too late to head back to the city now. I don't need to ask him about that. What can you tell me about the Church of the Holy Trinity?
They seem like any other church to me. But then again, I'm not their usual clientele. Weddings, baptisms, and funerals are just about what I can muster. And I always leave early.
You bought a number of paintings by Lily Myers. Why?
I'm known to dabble in art from time to time. Martha, my wife at the time, was enamored with the paintings. I believe she first saw them at the high school which the Myers girl attended. Anyway, after the poor girl killed herself, I bought the paintings speculatively. When a young artist with any talent to speak of commits suicide, it can be a wet dream of certain connoisseurs. Shortly after procuring the art, I had it valued by an expert who determined that the value was 3 times the amount I bought it for. Today, I'm sure I would have made my money back tenfold or more if it wasn't for the art theft.
What art theft?
There was a burglary at the mansion I used to own here in town. It was all over the local news at the time.
Well, shit.
Eloquently put.
What do you see in this picture, Charles?
Fireflies would be my best guess. They can grow terribly large around these parts.
Can you tell me about the art theft?
Well, somebody broke in, stole the paintings, and got out. Fairly clumsy job. Lots of broken windows. The strangest thing was that I had a Monet, a Rembrandt, and 2 paintings by Picasso, untouched. But every single painting by an unknown local artist, gone.
That can't be a coincidence.
Agreed. Somebody wanted those paintings badly.
I assume there was an investigation.
Yes, Sheriff Truman came by with his deputy a few hours later, but they didn't have much luck. They found a few hairs, which turned out to be from Ruffles, the family dog.
Some stunning police work right there.
Indeed. There was a single witness, though, who said he could make out multiple burglars leaving the scene of the crime, but nothing more than that.
So, I take it the case was closed?
Yes. I honestly didn't care much one way or the other, given the fact that my most expensive pieces were safe and sound.
I think I'll have a chat with the sheriff about the matter, if that's okay with you.
Certainly. I'll call ahead and instruct him to give you everything you need.
That'd be great. Thanks, Charles.
Anytime. But I'm curious, what's your interest in the paintings?
I've learned that my grandfather went to sue and asked to see them, right before he had his injury.
Is that so? Strange.
You bought a number of paintings by Lily Myers. Why?
I'm known to dabble in art from time to time. Martha, my wife at the time, was enamored with the paintings. I believe she first saw them at the high school, which... Anyway, when a young artist was shortly after today,
What art?
There was...
Well, thanks, Charles. That's all I need for now.
You're welcome, Kathy. Come back anytime.
I'd rather not. He'd crush me like a twig.